Officer Jason Hansen here to invite you to a special financial briefing this Thursday. As a former CIA officer, I've used my expertise to protect myself, my country, and my family from threats for decades. Now I'm recommending all Americans take action to guard their personal and financial security from threats to the U.S. dollar. That's what Thursday's exclusive Financial Security Summit will focus on. You'll get top strategies for safeguarding your wealth no matter what challenges may come our way. During this summit, you'll discover how to create a bulletproof financial plan that can potentially withstand the death of the dollar and possibly even thrive in the face of an economic collapse. Call my friends at Advantage Gold today at 800-741-GOLD to register at no cost whatsoever. In today's uncertain times, it's critical to have a solid plan in place to protect your finances. Call 800-741-GOLD now to register for this 100% free event. Again, 800-741-GOLD.
Paid for by Advantage Gold. Performance may vary. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Always consult your financial and tax professional.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There is a tremendous price war in the term life industry. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man aged 45, non-smoker, can get $1 million of coverage for $75 per month, level rate for 10 years. Or a man aged 50, non-smoker, can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of $110, level rate for 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rate for 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote. 1-800-908-7636. You're probably paying more than you should. Call 1-800-908-7636. Remember, 1-800-908-7636. Sample rate quotes based on preferred non-smoker rate class. Exam required to qualify.
Do you have a special needs child or an older adult in your home? The risk of them leaving the house unnoticed is real and terrifying. But you can protect your loved ones with Vivint Home Security.
Alarm on.
Our child has autism. He doesn't usually elope, but one day he did, and it was the most terrifying moment of our lives.
If I didn't have a home security system, I would have realized way too late he's gone.
Right now, Vivint is offering a free doorbell camera with any new plan, plus free installation and low monthly monitoring plans. Smart locks, lights, cameras, and more make Vivint Home Security the smartest way to protect your family and prevent a tragedy. Vivint is the #1 smart home service provider in the U.S. Protection is just a phone call away. Call 800-953-6693. That's 800-953-6693. Monthly service agreement required for free installation.
Do you have over $10,000 in credit card debt? The stress from excessive credit card debt can ruin your life. Collection calls, sleepless nights. If you're feeling the financial impact with unprecedented economic challenges, DebtBlue is here for you. DebtBlue uses secret programs that most credit card companies won't tell you about. They'll help you consolidate or settle your debts for a fraction of what you owe. With DebtBlue's Success Guarantee, you pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved. There's no risk. The more you owe, the more DebtBlue can save you. See how easy it is to get started with free information. Let DebtBlue show you how 10 minutes could save you thousands. Call now. 800-200-6895. That's 800-200-6895.
I'm just living sky high right now. I'm very thankful for it. And the team at DebtBlue are phenomenal. They're able to work with you. They're great.
Call for your free debt resolution information now. 800-200-6895. 800-200-6895.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen, Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans.
We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports. Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
Do you know what time it is?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Start it up, let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it. You ready?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Hello, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back into Centex Prime Time. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, as we bring you through the primetime topics in sports, not only in Central Texas, but all over the nation. I hope everybody is having a great Tuesday. We're here after completing the football weekend this past weekend. Wrapped it up with Monday Night Football. New Orleans Saints and Kansas City Chiefs played that one out last night. Kansas City finds a way to win once again. A lot of sports news on a Tuesday, unlike usually kind of slow Tuesdays we've had the last couple Tuesdays, but this one is kind of full of news. We've had a head coach get fired. We've had some QB changes made throughout the league. We've had a few different things happen on this Tuesday already. Devin White, just seen the news. Devin White was released from the Eagles after they've been trying to trade him for a couple of weeks. So a lot of news going on around the sports world today, folks. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with me today, not only today, but throughout the whole week and last week, this week coming up. Got a lot of football planned, a lot coming up this week, folks. So I am excited to be able to talk some football and to be able to see some of these games coming up here in the next couple of weeks. Joining the studio with me today, got the one and only Mr. Rocky Miller in studio with me today. Rocky, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, man? It was a big sports weekend. College football is in turmoil.
In turmoil.
You know, a lot of upsets this past weekend. I don't know what other than the Chiefs. I don't know what to think of the NFL.
I have no idea.
And then last night, you saw Mahomes, the best player in the game, do what he does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
And make one of the things that I think is one of the geniuses of Patrick Mahomes. He can, comparing him to another good quarterback, he makes him look really awful. Even on a night where he's not perfect.
Yeah.
He makes Derek Carr look really pedestrian.
Average at best.
When you have a direct comparison.
Yeah.
So, that's one of the things that you have to realize. And even though the Chiefs find themselves in a situation that, they've lost Rasheed, they lost Rice, they lost Pacheco, they get Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
This week they had I forget the guy who played last week. He ended up having a bad fumble, but
Carson Steele.
Steele. Steele
Carson
had a good
Steele,
game a couple games ago.
Yeah.
And then they pull Juju Smith-Schuster off the junk pile and put him in the game, and he catches for over 100 yards. So, the secret sauce in this situation, in my opinion, is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, it has to be.
He's the secret sauce because he can just about with anybody, he can make that offense viable. And
Man.
especially what he can do is he can make them competitive in a ball game. Like, he may not blow anybody out with the stats or anything like that, but he can use what he has to put his team in a position to win. And again, he did it again last night.
Yeah.
Really what I thought was a kind of clunky game.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Before you know it, I know the game got tight at one point, but I really thought the game was never.
Yeah, me either.
Never in doubt. I took the Chiefs plus the 5.
Yeah.
And Chiefs minus the 5. And there was a point where I was a little concerned about it, but once it got within 3, they went right back down and scored, and then I realized that
it's all
Derek
good.
Carr was looking for the exit. Because once you get in a situation where you have to pass, the Chiefs front gets pretty wicked.
Yeah.
And the game situation takes Alvin Kamara out the game as a runner.
Yeah.
And then it's and
the wheels fall off.
Yeah. Carr is a statue. He's no Lamar back there. He's not gonna
nowhere close to a Lamar Jackson. And like you said, once they made that game one-dimensional, it was a wrap. Like you said, they tried to make it competitive kind of at one point. I think it was like 10-7 or 13-7, something like that. But outside of that, Mahomes and them took care of business.
13-10.
13-10. And like you said, man, the plug-and-play element of this Kansas City Chiefs team, I mean, it's pretty incredible to see. Kareem Hunt got a couple carries last week after he's been on the couch for a year, almost a year and some change. Came in right away, played decent last week. They give him a full load of carries this week, 27 carries, and he rewards with 102 yards. Patrick Mahomes, no touchdowns in the game. Like you said, no crazy stat line, but the way he was able to control the game the entire game was really just, amazing to see the whole time.
He plays great situational football.
Yeah.
And what I really like to look at Patrick Mahomes is when I evaluate his impact on the game, and you can look up the stats and see.
Mm-hmm.
But it always, regardless of what the overall stats looks like, on third down, their third down conversion rate as a team, always pretty solid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I haven't even looked at it, but I know it seems like in every crucial situation.
There were 1 of 1 on fourth down and 6 for 14 on third downs, but I think a lot of those came at the end of the game when they were kind of just going through the motions.
Well, what I'm saying, in crucial situations.
Yeah, for sure.
When they need a score, when they need I think the NFL average is like 30%, and that's well over 30%.
Yeah.
If my calculations are correct. So
they are.
My point is saying it is that's kind of, regardless of how the game statistically pans out for Patrick Mahomes, you can get an idea of how he played based on third down conversion.
Yeah, so the Mahomes element of the game, he proved still the best player in the league. However you want to slice it, this dude is still the best player in the league, and I want to come back and talk about that game a little bit more and then talk about the element of Kansas City and their dominance in the AFC. But before I do that, I want to go to the breaking news of the afternoon, which is Robert Saleh out of a job in New York after 3 seasons in New York, makes it only 5 games into the season, and after being fired today, New York starts disappointing. They start off 2-3. After Aaron Rodgers comes back this season, they go 2-3. Robert Saleh, a lot of questions around him. We've seen the arguments on the sideline with Robert Saleh. We've seen the arguments on the sideline between Saleh and some of his coordinators. We've seen multiple arguments, and with really since Aaron Rodgers has been there, I mean, there hasn't been a lot of cohesiveness in this unit since Rodgers has been there. And Robert Saleh, honestly, there's been a lot of back and forth on this topic, and I got PJ on the line with me here too, so I'll let him chime in and talk about this as well. And hasn't just been a lot of cohesiveness with this unit since Aaron Rodgers has come back from his injury. Now, do I think that this is fully Robert Saleh's fault? So we kind of had some disagreements back and forth in the group message. PJ was in there. He knows what I'm talking about. And about whose fault is it and should Robert Saleh have been kicked off and was he just a scapegoat? Yeah, I do think he was kind of just a scapegoat, but I don't think that he was a great coach either. I think that he was on his way out of it regardless, in my opinion. I think that by the end of the season, Robert Saleh was going to be out of a head coaching job. Yes, there was improvement on the New York Jets, but the coach before the New York Jets before him was Adam Gase. So any improvement was going to be improvement from the situation they were in previously to that. So seeing him come in, the team had really got kind of stagnant. I understand they didn't have great quarterback play, but they weren't necessarily doing great. They weren't doing horrible either, so they were kind of just stuck in this limbo. Then you come out and you start 2-3. Everybody has some blame here. Aaron Rodgers definitely has blame in this 2-3 start. The front office has blame in this 2-3 start because guys aren't producing. And starting with the offensive line. Yeah, you gave a 40-year-old quarterback everything he wanted. You tailored to him as offensive coordinator. You brought in some of the receivers that he wanted. You did all these different things for him. And then the dude is 40 years old. So at some point, it's kind of tough being able to put all of this on him. But when you see the way that the offensive line is played, I don't know what happened to the running game after the first couple of weeks. Not sure what happened because I think they got two good backs there with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen in the backfield. So there's a lot of blame to be pointed out here. But we know when in the scapegoat situations, they're always going to start with the head coach. And Robert Saleh, I think he's a better coordinator than he is a head coach. Because head coach requires some more things. That you got to be a leader of men outside of just coordinating the defensive side of the ball. You got to be a leader of men, and I'm not positive that Robert Saleh was a great coach for this situation. Might be a good coach somewhere else, but in New York, there's a lot of expectations. Then you bring in a Hall of Fame quarterback. There's even more expectations. You start off the season 2-3. You had to make some changes somewhere. Unfortunately, Robert Saleh was the one that got the boot. So I want to get your opinion on this, PJ, if you can hear me on here. What did you think about this Robert Saleh news, man, once you heard the news about him being out as the head coach?
Honestly, I think that, I understand. I get it. I've been kind of looking at different podcasts and different interviews with people and getting their opinions on it. I could see why they say that they feel like that he's being used as a scapegoat, but at the same time, people got to understand the business. Like you said, New York is a big market. Whether you're on with the Giants or the Jets, it's a big market. And whenever you come in as a coach, they're looking for you to produce. And I personally feel like they could have gave him a little more time to produce. But at the same time, I get the nature of the business. And they're really just trying to right now to figure out why they 2-3. They had so much expectations coming into the season, and they haven't really met any of those expectations, except for, really the defense. Their defense is still a top defense, but he's a defensive coach. So to me, that's really why the defense is so good. And then they got a lot of guys on their defensive side that's really good. But outside of that, you got guys like Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. And they got a lot of guys, man, on the offense, but it's just not clicking. So right now, I feel like the front office, if anything, you can really blame it on the front office.
Yeah.
And also a little bit on Rodgers as well, but definitely on the front office. But you know how the front office is, that to take off, pressure off of themselves, they're either going to put it on a player or a coach. And not saying that the players or the coach, it isn't their fault as well, but they kind of got to watch out for themselves, the front office, when it comes to just the fans and the feedback they're going to be getting from the fans and everything. But not really. The surprise is that they fired him like today. I didn't think they were going to fire him today. I thought it would be probably down the line. But right now, at the point, you got to try to find an interim head coach or go out and find someone who's on the market for a head coaching job, because you got to make some changes ASAP.
Yeah, you can go ahead, Rock.
PJ, I want to ask you something. Ask you a question. If you want to fire a guy, right, and he's going into a game where he possibly could save his job, right?
Yeah.
Do you fire him now, or do you wait till after the Buffalo game, where if he wins that game, you essentially can't fire him? Because he'll be first place. in his division.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever. In my opinion, this was the time they chose to fire him because they couldn't fire him at 2-2. You understand what I'm saying? I believe if you wanted to fire him now, you probably wanted to fire him at 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
You may have even wanted to fire him, at 1-0,
Mm-hmm.
or 0-1.
0-1, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So I think they went into this situation wanting to fire him for what reason? To be honest with you guys, I don't think this is football, right? Because he's a defensive-minded coach with obviously the defense of the Jets was playing outstanding.
Yep.
They've done a better job against Justice Jefferson and Sam Darnold. And they did a better job with that team than any other team. When you look at the game, and I got up and watched the game. This loss was squarely on the shoulders of Aaron Rodgers and his inability to generate any offense of any significance. That's why they ended up losing the game. And so I can't connect this to football. I don't think this is about. And when you think about the failures of the organization, from an organization standpoint, you can't even blame Robert Saleh because, their failure on the quarterback position, you can't put Zach Wilson on Robert Saleh, nor can you put the situation with the left tackle on Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the defensive guys they've drafted have panned out pretty well.
Yep.
So if you were going to get rid of somebody, in this particular situation, and it was about football, I would go after the GM. I think Robert Saleh, and you guys have used the term a scapegoat, but I either think it was a personality conflict, which there are some reports out there that it was something having to do with him wearing the Lebanon flag on the uniform is ultimately why he was. Well, again, if the owner tells you don't wear it and you do it anyway, that's a situation where you and the owner have a difference of agreement and you work at his pleasure.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to defy the owner, then in that situation, I think you should be ready to be fired. I liken the situation with Robert Saleh, and I think you guys will have to. You guys may disagree, but I similarly like his dismissal to the dismissal of Brian Flores. There was nothing about football that you can point to saying this guy should be fired. And with Brian Flores, you saw that it was really a personality conflict.
Yeah, for sure.
They didn't appreciate the way that he handled business from a personality standpoint. Mm-hmm. And this may be another situation where, the intensity of a Robert Saleh or the way he communicated in the building, something like that, it just wasn't appreciated by the people around him or the people that he worked for.
And there are certain points in that I do agree with. I don't know if this was completely about football. For one, Robert Saleh is not the first person to blame here. Like both of you guys said, first person to blame here is the GM. You the one that built the team. You the one that made this a handmade ready situation for Aaron Rodgers to come in who's underperformed. So first person to blame is the GM here. Second person to blame is the owner. Because this has been the Jets my entire life. I'm 28. This has been the Jets my entire 28 years of living. Over expectations, big expectations for older quarterbacks. And what's the coincidence that it's Brett Favre before Aaron Rodgers and the parallels that they've had in their careers. But they did this exact same thing with Brett Favre in 2008. So this is just what happens with the Jets. Now, to my point about Robert Saleh, I think there probably were some personality differences there, but if they go 8-8 this year, do you keep him as a head coach? His record in the Jets is 20-36. Now I know he's had bad quarterbacks, but a lot of guys in the league have had bad quarterbacks. Did they get to keep their jobs because they had bad quarterbacks? He's 20-36. Now the expectations went from we're just trying to gradually get better to, hey, we got Aaron Rodgers and we want to win right now. Somebody's got to go. You just made this entire bed for Aaron Rodgers. They're not going to fire him. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a 4-time MVP. You're not going to fire him. The next person on the firing list is Joe Douglas, the GM. He's not going to fire himself. So somebody's got to get fired in this situation. The owner's coming downstairs. Hey, I am not happy. We are 2-3. We got Aaron Rodgers. We got all the eyes in the world on us. We got a 4-time MVP, and we're 2-3 right now. Somebody's got to go. Well, Joe Douglas going to say, I ain't go. All right, I'll do something. He can't fire. Even Joe Douglas can't get rid of Aaron Rodgers. He don't have that. He don't have enough power to do that. So the only person he got enough power to do something about is Robert Saleh. Now, do I think it's messed up that they fired him right now? Yeah, because what's going to change from here to now to the end of the season? Nothing. But I think the writing was on the wall with Robert Saleh, and that's just my opinion. Personally, I think he was going to be fired after this season regardless, unless they went 12-5 or something in this year and made a playoff run. I think his time was up with this Jets organization. Now, he still could be a head coach somewhere and could have success. I just think his time in New York was probably already over with.
Well, I'm a see. When I look at their schedule, I see a lot of winnable games for that defense.
Yeah.
Right? So you say 8-8. I think 8-8, 8-7, 8-9 would be a worst case scenario for them. I see them winning the division because who's in their division? Let's look at it.
Yeah. Buffalo,
Miami, and the Patriots. We know Miami and the Patriots. That's 4 wins.
Yeah.
Right? Now you only have to put up 5 wins. You only have to put up 5, guys. 5. And again, let's be honest about the Buffalo situation. Josh Allen is a one-man show on offense.
Yep.
And we saw I forget who he played the last game on Primetime.
The Texans.
We saw the last game. What that could look like if you play decent defense on him. It could get real ugly. And he's going to he's with the front that the Jets have, with them being able to make him one-dimensional, I see them being in a situation where they can pretty much – it was no guarantee win, but the Jets were going to be a viable team. And even if they ultimately split with the Buffalo, now that's 5 wins.
Yeah.
So now you're only looking for 4.
Yeah. But they could also lose those same games because they did lose to the Broncos 10-9. So I do get your point, though. Like, they have very, very winnable games up on the schedule.
You're saying they lost to the Broncos 10-9, but look at the Broncos. The Broncos are sitting there at 3-2. You know, the Broncos that aren't we want to say they have a rookie quarterback and they haven't been able to do a lot on offense, whatever. But these games aren't played on paper.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is every game will have its own story.
Mm-hmm.
And like this game coming up, Josh Allen's coming off a concussion.
Yeah.
Would you be surprised? Well, I'm not saying he's coming out. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
But he took him. I saw the video.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, if Tua has that same hit, he may, what you know,
they're gonna
mean?
make him retire. Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is, with his head hitting that hard, what do you think could happen? My point is saying that it wouldn't be surprising me if Josh Allen, if he plays this week, him having a bad game, not only because of maybe recovering from a concussion or head trauma, but also because the Jets have a way of making quarterbacks look bad.
Yeah. In which I would have picked them, like you said. I was probably going to pick New York in this game. I just don't like the way Buffalo's looked over the last couple of weeks. And both teams, honestly, coming in looking bad into this. But to your point, they do have very winnable games on the schedule. And to your first point, which I think was the best point, is if you're going to fire him, you ain't going to give him the chance to win this game against Buffalo to win the team back and win the season back and all that if you want to get rid of him.
And my point is, if in fact, say say if in fact, now I know I'm playing, I know this is a bunch of make-believe, but say they do get to the playoffs, they do have a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah.
Somehow, and also, let me give you another scenario. Say you make that move to get Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
And you give Aaron all the tools to be successful as a quarterback. The records ends up being pretty good. They make a run into the playoffs, whatever. If you don't want that guy at the helm, you have to cut bait with him somewhere. Do you cut bait with him at 2-3, 3-3, 4-3, 5-3? You know what I mean? You can't justify cutting bait with him when he has a winning record or when he's leading the division. I think Woody Johnson and the powers that be said, we don't want this guy coaching our team. Now's the time to do it because it could get really good for us moving forward. Because to your point, I don't think Robert Saleh is a great head coach.
No.
But that doesn't mean you can't win in this league. Because we saw Mike McDaniels won 11 games. I don't think he's a good coach. You know, my point is saying it is you have to, if you don't want that guy coaching your team and you want to save face in the media, then that's what you. Last point I want to make. Last week, I heard on 3 different talk shows that this game against Minnesota is a big game for a number of reasons. I don't think that gets out without somebody in the building saying that. Because there's no reason why Minnesota and the Jets would be a big
8
game.
in the morning.
Yeah, it would be a big game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This could make or break. I think they went into somebody in the building went into this wanting to set the table to let Saleh go if they do lose.
Yeah. No, I can definitely see that. And it makes sense.
And if you tell me Aaron Rodgers threw the game.
Yeah, see, because that's what Kyrell's been trying to argue with me about all day is that Aaron Rodgers been throwing the season to get rid of Robert Saleh.
He missed a wide open wide receiver while the game was on the line. I mean, the guy was open by 5 yards.
He did miss, but he also ain't nobody sitting up getting hit in the head and getting injured 4 or 5 times a game because they don't like a head coach. Ain't nobody doing that.
No. I'm not.
That last play. I'm talking about what I was talking about with Kyrell. But no, to your point, if it's at that point in the game and he's saying, man, if we lose this, Robert Saleh out of here, let me go ahead and chuck this into some turf. I ain't saying that ain't possible. That's very possible. And he did, on that last interception of the game, the receiver ain't even turned his head around. I don't even know what was going on with that. They got there's more people to blame than Robert Saleh for some of the stuff they've had going on.
And I guess that's what my point is in all of this, guys, is that firing Robert Saleh is not the solution to their problems.
No.
Now, I don't think it makes their problems any bigger, right? But they still, they just want, why not say we didn't want him coaching the team? Or why do we have to speculate? Why don't they just put out a statement about why he was let go? Because I think anytime you let a coach go at this point, the season isn't lost. They other than the Denver loss, I don't think any of those other losses were what you would consider bad losses. And again, the whole season is in front of you, and you 1 game out of first place
playing for first place tomorrow or next week
in your division.
Yeah.
So I don't think they wanted him as their head coach, and this was the perfect time to do it. And we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. PJ, I'll let you get last words on this. And to your point about it being personal, like you said, there did have to be something personal to it, even though I don't know if the flag or anything like that was the reason they let him go. But there's something personal to it because the story already came out that security escorted him out of the building and didn't even let him address the team that he was being fired as the coach. They just hurried up and escorted him out. I don't know if they thought the players were going to have a mutiny and say, no, we're going to keep him. Like, what was the point of escorting him out and not letting him talk to the team? But, that's left up to everybody's interpretation until Adam Schefter get some more reports on what's going on there. PJ, I'll let you get final words on this Robert Saleh deal.
Yeah, I agree. I think it possibly could be personal. They're not really going to put it out there that it is, but it's just weird timing. I don't think this is a good time to be firing your coach. Me personally, I mean, yeah, you could really say you could see like after the Bills game possibly, if you win or lose that game, then you're gonna be first in your division if you win. To me, too, that their division is kind of wide open right now. Going into the season, we was thinking that they either you thought that they could possibly win the division, or you thought the Bills possibly, or even the Miami Dolphins. But so far into the season, definitely with once Tua had got hit in that game and everything, it kind of changed for the Miami Dolphins. And then just seeing how the Jets have just not been able to do anything on offense, and even with the Bills, you could just see that they're good, they're good, but they don't really have that true number one wide receiver. The running game has been kind of on a little bit for them. I feel like that's what they've really benefited off of as well, and just Josh Allen playing good in certain games. But this is a winnable, division for them. So personally, I would just wait until to the end of the season, just see if you're going to be a playoff team or if you're not a playoff team. If you're not a playoff team, or even if you are, and you just don't really think that y'all met the expectations that you expected, then you can go ahead and fire them. Firing them in mid-season, it's not even mid-season. Like, it's still pretty early to be firing them. So I think it is possibly something personal. But like I said, they probably not going to come out and just say it.
Oh, no, they definitely ain't going to say it if it is something personal. We won't know until the end when stuff like Tua coming out and saying my coach was mean to me, and we figure out that's why Brian Flores was fired. So if it's something personal, we'll figure that out later. But as right now, Robert Saleh out as head coach of the New York Jets. Folks, we got a lot of things to talk about here today. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about this Chiefs team as they were able to pick up another win. Once again, one of the last undefeated teams left in the playoffs. We're going to talk some Baylor football in hour number 2. What's going on in Baylor? We know that's the team right down the street from here. And then we're going to talk about the Vikings. Are they the best team in the NFC? Is they the only undefeated team left in the NFC? So still a lot to talk about here on Centex Primetime. Stay tuned, folks. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back after this.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it. You ready?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Welcome back, everybody, into Centex Prime Time. I'm your host, Jalen Gillis. Still here, joined in studio with Rocky Miller. Also have PJ Gaither in with us today as well, as we just got done talking about the breaking news of Robert Saleh being out as head coach in New York. A lot of different reasons people think for why he's out, but we'll leave that up to your interpretation for right now. But like I said, I'm sure we're going to get many more stories about this.
It'll be the 30 for 30.
Yeah, in the next coming weeks about what's going on in New York. Seems like we're always trying to figure out what's going on in New York. But we talked about it a little bit earlier. Last night, Kansas City gets a win as they move to 5-0, as they close out Week 5 in the NFL with another win in this game. We talked about a little bit earlier how they just plug and play different guys in this system. Kareem Hunt comes in off the couch, has 100 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster, who was a free agent, comes in, has 130 yards. Travis Kelce, even though it does look like he's lost a step and probably on his way out, honestly, especially if they win this year. I think this will be Travis Kelce last year playing football if they win. He had 9 catches, 70 yards in this game. The New Orleans Saints, not much to write home about. Like Rocky said earlier in the show, once they were put in passing situations, the writing was on the wall. I think I texted a group message last night and said Derek Carr is officially 100% back to being Derek Carr. Like we knew what happened. He had a couple of weeks off of being Derek Carr, but he's back in full mode now of being Derek Carr. Just some misses, just missing people at certain points in the game. We saw that pick at the beginning of the game as well that kind of set them back. This team's not able to run the ball with Alvin Kamara. He had 11 carries, 26 yards. You're done after that point. And then Derek Carr got the injury. Just saw the news that he's going to be out for some weeks. Not sure why the guy Jake Haener got in the game. I wanted to see the young rookie Spencer Rattler get in the game, but I guess maybe he's third or fourth on the depth chart. I don't know what's going on with that, but hopefully coming up this week, you got nothing to lose. You might as well play him because if Derek Carr is gone, your season's just about done anyway. So Rashid Shaheed, 4 catches, 86 yards, and a touchdown. Alvin Kamara gave you 6 catches, 40 yards in this one. PJ, I'm going to come to you, man. What'd you think about this game last night with Kansas City and New Orleans?
Really, man, I don't know. You know, New Orleans, like I always say, that's my second favorite team, and they didn't really disappoint me. I didn't really have them winning this game. Mm-hmm. I think the only disappointment that I had really from them was just not being able to run the ball. Derek Carr is just not the guy. I feel like a lot of the fans, we all been kind of saying that he's not the guy. And they tried to bamboozle us with him playing these first few games. In the first 2 games, he looked really good.
Yep.
But the fact was that we really played 2 teams that's just not that good. They're just not good. And, you know, I don't really understand why they didn't play Spencer Rattler yesterday either. I mean, you went and got him in the draft. You know he has a big name. You know a lot of people have already been asking for him to play. You might as well just go ahead and throw him in. You have nothing to lose at that point.
I guess y'all didn't see that pass rush. And,
yeah, that's a point too. That Kansas City was doing. Yeah, that's a point.
Yeah.
You know, again,
that's true.
At some point in a ball game, let me just say this. I think in the NFL, when you have those big men running at that speed, crashing into each other, at some point, I think it's best that you concede so that you can play the next game.
Yeah.
Right? And I can understand if y'all thought that at any point that game was winnable once Derek Carr got out, but I was pretty sure it was over.
Yeah, it was over. It was over probably about halftime. It was already over. But
you know, and so I think that the time he went out, they were down 10.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with maybe 5-6 minutes left to go. It's a wrap, baby. It's time to pack it in and get out of there. You know, but
and to be honest,
go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No. But I was saying is that speaking to the Derek Carr situation is there is a lot of opportunities that you're gonna get to play Rattler in much better, more prepared situations. Because I think confidence is such a huge part of being a quarterback in the NFL and being properly prepared.
Yeah.
And being thrown in that situation, I don't know that he's properly prepared. I don't know that you can do anything in that moment to build his confidence because the Chiefs are a very formidable defense, really good secondary. And if you want to sacrifice somebody, I suggest sacrificing Painter.
Yeah.
If that's your situation. So that's kind of, I think why he ended up in that situation. I don't think a Painter gave them a chance to win or gave them anything in that moment. And I don't think they were looking for anything other than somebody to take the snaps to the end of the game.
Yeah, that's true. And I'll let you go back to the point, PJ, but I don't want I get your point about not putting them in that because we don't want them to end up like the quarterback that's in their division in the Carolina Panthers situation where they subbed out Andy Dalton and put Bryce Young in to be a hitting dummy because they said there was too many injuries to the offensive line and we wanted to protect Andy Dalton. I'll let you finish, PJ, because that is just crazy. That's what the reports came out and said. They had too many. They had a bunch of injuries on their offensive line, and they put Bryce Young in at the end of that game because Andy Dalton was getting hit so much. Said they wanted to protect Andy Dalton, and they put Bryce Young back in the game to be a hitting dummy. But go ahead, PJ.
He got a request for a trade. He got a request for a trade after that. That's crazy. But now, honestly, too, man, I really don't even think that Spencer Rattler. I'm not really a huge fan of Spencer Rattler.
No, he's probably not ready anyway.
I don't know. I never really have. Even in college, I feel like that we really got him just because a few of the other quarterbacks were already off the board by the time we got that far into the draft.
Yeah.
But I got to give props to the Chiefs for sure. Andy Reid, man, is like a magician. Like it's crazy. Yeah. They don't really have any outside receiver that's like a true number one that's going to really just give you problems, every week. They got a lot of plug and play guys, and somehow they make it work. And they might be the only team, honestly, in the NFL that could possibly do something like that. And it's all credit. All the credit got to go to the head coach with Andy Reid. He's just doing a great job. But it's something that we've always seen with him, though. You know what I mean? We already know how Andy Reid is, as a coach. But just to see, like, Patrick Mahomes had, 300-something passing yards yesterday with no touchdowns, and they still won the game. So, the Chiefs, they serious, man. I gotta, like I said, I wasn't expecting the Saints to win, but it's just the way I've seen the Chiefs win that game, in a game that really wasn't pretty for them. They're still one of the best teams in the league for sure.
Yeah, and until somebody knocks them off their throne, man, you got to put them up there as the top team in the league still. And it's crazy to see the amount of sustained success they've had since Patrick Mahomes has been a starter. They've been in the AFC Championship game every year since he's been a starter. That's a pretty wild stat to even say. And I thought it would be a while before we saw a quarterback head coach duo as good as Belichick and Brady. But it happened right on the tail end of Belichick and Brady. We ended up getting this with Mahomes and Andy Reid. And like you said, Andy Reid deserves all the credit that he gets. Still the best head coach in the league to me. Their entire organization, top to bottom. They might be the best defensive coordinator in the league as well, with Steve Spagnuolo and what he's able to do week in and week out with this defense. And then you got the best player in the league. It's just a match made in heaven, and the Chiefs' success is a testament to that. So the Chiefs moved to 5-0, leader obviously in the NFL. 5-0. Minnesota's 5-0 as well, but the Chiefs back-to-back champs. I'm still going to stay with my point that I made at the beginning of the year. I don't think they're going to three-peat, but right now they're still the best team in the league. Until somebody knocks them off of that title, then they still have that title as being the best in the league. So, like we said, they moved to 5-0. Looking forward to see what Mahomes and the crew can do as they go forward. I want to talk about the other team in the AFC before we go to break here for the top of the hour. The Baltimore Ravens and Cincinnati Bengals gave us the thriller of the weekend, honestly, in the game that they had. Both quarterbacks played at an MVP level. Both quarterbacks showed why they're considered top quarterbacks in this league. I've seen some people try to say, Joe Burrow couldn't close this one out again or because he threw that pick at the end. He did throw that pick at the end, but the dude threw for 392 yards and 5 touchdowns. He scored 38 points. If your defense gives up 40 points, how much do you want the quarterback to do? How much blame can be put on the quarterback. The defense gave up 40 points. They gave up 40. And to Lamar Jackson, man, I mean, he does stuff week in and week out that's video game-ish. You don't see people do this kind of stuff, dropping the ball, stiff arming a DN twice your size, and throwing a jump ball into the back of the end zone. Like it's stuff that looks made up. And this Ravens team is scary moving forward. Ravens win this game. They move to 3-2, 41-38 as they beat Cincinnati in overtime. So Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. It's crazy the numbers that he's putting up after just coming off of an MVP season. I don't think they're going to give him another MVP this season no matter what he does, so I won't say he's going to have an MVP-type season. I don't see them giving him a back-to-back MVP and making him a 3-time MVP in 5 years. I don't see them doing that. So he's having a crazy good game, or a crazy good season so far statistically already. Derrick Henry just adds a whole nother dimension to this offense. And on the Bengals side of things, I don't know why they can't figure it out with this team. Joe Burrow is still one of the best quarterbacks in the league, in my opinion, and they've got somebody that I consider to be a top receiver in the league. I said this the other day. Jamar Chase is just as talented as anybody in the league. He doesn't get the targets that whoever we consider to be the number one. Some people say Jefferson, some people say Tyreek Hill, some people say CeeDee Lamb, however you go with the top receiver. I think Jamar Chase is just as good or better than all of those guys at the receiver position. He doesn't always get the targets that some of these other guys get for whatever that reason is. He's had some disagreements with Joe Burrow in the past, and some games he gets 12 targets like this one. Some games he gets 2 or 3 targets. I don't know why that is. But 10 catches, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns, an electric player. PJ, I'm going to come right back to you. What did you think about this Bengals and Ravens game and the performance that these two quarterbacks put on Sunday?
Yeah, man, I really don't know what's going on with the Bengals. Like, you know my stance with Jamar Chase. I really think he's the best receiver in the league. And like you say, he just don't get the amount of targets that other receivers do that we consider one of the best receivers in the league. Mm-hmm. With the Ravens, I kind of like the turnaround. They starting off the season, it looks kind of rough. I feel like they can still play better.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I feel like they can still play a lot better still. But they're playing really good, and you can tell slowly but surely they're starting to get it together. They're starting to click a little bit. The defense is still looking great. Right now, man, where they're kind of going, you can tell that they're going to be a problem come like maybe December, definitely November. They're going to be a problem if they keep on going at the route they're going right now. With the Bengals, I really don't know, man. They gotta. It's nothing that they really need to me on the team to be good. Like I don't see them needing a piece to be added on to help. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if these guys are, if they're, if it's a mental thing. They're just not clicking. Even when they play a little bit, play some type, good how they did on Sunday, they're still struggling though.
Yeah.
To finish the games and get a win.
Yeah.
So I really don't know if it's a mental thing or if they just, if it's coaching. Like I say, I don't really know. To me, they don't really need a key piece. They're not missing no pieces that they really just need in order to win a game. You got all your guys really, for the most part. You got all your guys. Even if guys aren't 100% healthy, you still have your guys on the field. Jamar Chase was going crazy on Sunday, so to see them not even get that win, it's very just. If you're a fan, it's sad, because you did everything you could to possibly get the win, and you still didn't come out with the win. So at that point, what do you really do?
Yeah, it's tough whenever you are able to score 38 points, like you said. Their defense has been their defense hasn't been up to par, honestly. They've let Joe Burrow down in a lot of these games outside of the Patriots game in week 1 when they lost 16-10. The offense has been able to produce, but that defense has let them down pretty much every single game since then, with their only win being against the Carolina Panthers, who are probably the worst team in the league. Rocky, what are your thoughts about this Ravens and Bengals game on Sunday?
Well, it's simple. Both teams have dynamic quarterbacks who can move the ball, right?
Yep.
But I don't think the Ravens' defense is what it has been.
Mm-mm.
And I don't think the Bengals have a defense.
They don't.
And so that's kind of how I kind of assess that. I mean, at the end of the day, what you have to realize is that the only flaw in what the Bengals did is they didn't give Jamar Chase the ball enough.
Yeah.
You know, I was watching that game, and it seemed like every time he touched the ball, it was about to go in the end zone or it was on its way. So I think they just, they should have spent more time trying to get him the ball. But what I will say about this, man, is that I just really think that Lamar Jackson is such a dynamic player when he's connecting and seeing the defense clearly from the pocket,
mm-hmm.
that he's almost indefensible if even when you're getting, like, Lamar is one of those guys where I don't think he's almost, okay, let me put it like this. You want him to pass from the pocket,
mm-hmm.
right? But what you have to give up in order to keep him in the pocket really exposes your defense on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
So if they use the little rush where the guys don't really come after him, they just sit and kind of hold him in the pocket, well, pretty soon he runs around long enough, and then guess what? Zay Flowers breaks wide open.
Yep.
Bateman ends up open. Andrews came alive this past week, and he'll find Likely in the back of the end zone. So I just think he's to the point where, and here's the other aspect of it. If you speed him up, you're going to get him sometimes.
Yeah.
But he's sure going to get you sometimes too. Because his reaction to your quick pressure is generally better than the reaction of your second level to the pressure.
Yeah.
Meaning that you rush him fast, he gets outside, he can either run or throw a deep pass. He just puts your defense in a very difficult situation. And the thing that makes it mostly indefensible is when Derrick Henry's coming downhill at you, when he isn't passing the ball. Well, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when he can just turn it around and give it to Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry's effective, I think defensively they're unstoppable.
Yeah.
I mean, offensively,
mm-hmm.
they're unstoppable. Because because in the running game, the Bengals really committed a lot to stopping the running game, and they did a really good job with it all game.
Till the end.
I want to say he was averaging maybe a couple yards to carry.
Yeah. He ended with 92 yards, but he had that 51-yard run at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So,
how many carries did he end up having?
It was 15 for 92.
I want to say when I watched the game, it was like 15 for 40 or something like that.
Yeah, exactly what it was. 14 for 40 until he had that breakoff run.
Yeah. So what that ends up doing, it just breaks your defense back, man.
Yeah.
It just breaks your defense back. And you could see how I believe rushing Lamar over the course of a game just completely depleted not only the defensive line, but it also depleted the DBs as well.
Yeah, because you're chasing this dude around. He's still the fastest guy on the field when you're chasing him around. He just happens to be the quarterback. And like you said, when Lamar is able to pass from the pocket, and that's what he prefers to do, which is what a lot of people get misconstrued about Lamar. They think that since he's so dynamic as a runner, that he prefers to just take off running. He prefers to pass the ball from the pocket. Things just break down, and he has to run. And when he has to run, he's the best runner with the football. So it's crazy to see the talent that Lamar has. Like I've said many times before on this show, he's my favorite player in the league. And games like this are why he's my favorite player in the league. I mean,
yeah, he's my mama's favorite player too. So
yeah,
she's the Lamar guy. She almost done gave up the Cowboys for Lamar.
Tell her go ahead and do it.
On her about that.
Tell her go ahead and do it. It's time.
No,
it's time. It's time.
Hey,
go ahead and jump on that.
You're out of bounds for that.
Go ahead and jump on there with the Ravens.
We Cowboy fans for life. We don't. Hey, you can like Lamar, but understand.
Yeah, you still got to know where home is at.
Yeah.
So Lamar and the Ravens moved to 3-2 on the season. I'm excited to see what they do throughout the rest of the season. Like we said earlier, man, I think this team, to the point you just made, that they're unstoppable on offense whenever Lamar is going and Derrick Henry is going. There's nothing anybody can do, and we knew that coming into the season. We thought it could be that, but to see it unfolding now. And I got to give some credit to Tom Monken because he's figuring out the things that Lamar Jackson likes to do on offense. And his offense has been getting better and better and better. To your point earlier, a little bit earlier, Rocky, their defense, this isn't the same Ravens defense that we've seen before. And they have a lot of injuries in their defense right now. But they've got to figure that part out because as good as this offense is, you will not win games giving up 38 points as we get throughout the course of the season. So, folks, like we said, Ravens doing great. Kansas City still undefeated. Those are right now two of the top teams in the AFC. They met in the AFC Championship last year. Looks like they're on a collision course to start the season off right now. Folks, we're going to go to a quick break as we get ready for the top of the hour. In hour number 2, we're going to talk about some football. We know the whole world watched Alabama lose to Vanderbilt. We know the whole world saw Tennessee lose, and they saw all these other things happen. And we know everybody in Waco was watching Baylor lose to Iowa State. So we'll talk about all of that in hour number 2, and we'll close it out with some NFL when we get towards the end of the show. Stay tuned, folks. You're watching Centex Primetime on YouTube, on Centex Sports Network, or you're listening on Infinity Sports Radio on CentexSports1.com or the app Centex Sports 1. We'll be right back after this.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
The East Waco Empowerment Project, along with City Center Waco, is hosting WeBo, Workshop in Business Opportunity, to help create more entrepreneurs. Business owners like Aniceto Charles of True Jamaica Restaurant and Carla Dotson of Boardwalk on Elm attended WeBo to develop their business ideas into successful Black-owned businesses right in the heart of East Waco. WeBo can also help you turn your side hustle or business idea into the next thriving Black-owned business in our community. If you would like to attend this 10-week intense entrepreneurial workshop, go to WeBoWaco.org. That's WIBO Waco.org. Space.
It's the family feels for me. The banana pudding peach cobbler make you want to holler. For me, it's the candy yams, mac and cheese, beef tips, pork tips and rice, collard.
Financial and tax professional.
Missing the lemon sweet tea dressing on Sundays when you all dressed up. Chest pie, buttermilk, and pound cake. Cornbread with butter just dripping, always fresh baked. If you need Southern style, soul food, home cooked meals that you can feel. Chicken and dumplings, chicken pot pie. 719 South 11th Street. Sassy's, come on by.
This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it. You ready?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Primetime, hour number 2 here in Waco, Texas on this lovely Tuesday afternoon. Hope everybody is doing okay today. Want to welcome in all of our new listeners and viewers that are just now getting off of work, clocking out. Maybe you're in your car, on your way to the house, on the way to grab something to eat. Make sure you guys go over to YouTube and subscribe. Centex Sports Network on YouTube and Centex Sports TV on YouTube. Also, download the app Centex Sports 1 on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. So a lot of breaking news today, folks, on this Tuesday afternoon after we have completed Week 5 in the NFL. Robert Saleh out as head coach in New York. We've seen, like we said earlier, we talked about in hour number 1, Kansas City moving to 5-0 on the season. Multiple teams around the league making changes. And one of those being, saw the news a few hours ago, Drake May is going to be the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots. They're playing my Texans coming up this coming week. So I don't know why they wanted to start him against defense like that, but they wanted to go ahead and get him out there. Jacoby Brissett wasn't cutting it anymore, and we knew he wasn't before the season started. But after losing to a Tua-less Miami Dolphins team, I think New England has seen enough. And so Drake May is going to be named the starter, the number 3 pick in last year's draft. Will get his chance to start. Played decent in preseason. I knew they didn't want to trot him out there right away. I'm a believer in sitting your quarterbacks for at least a season when you get some of these guys, unless they're ready to go, like a Jaden Daniels or somebody like that coming into the season.
Hey guys, I want to step in here real quick and make some, because, you know, when mama call you and tell you to make sure you make her announcement.
Yeah, you better do it.
Or you got to do it. So, but I want to let my nephew, Dante Stewart, plays for Charlton.
Mm-hmm.
He had an amazing game this past weekend. They played they played Southeast Louisiana, and they defeated Southeast Louisiana in an exciting game. They defeated them. No, take that back. They played in Utah, so my apologies for that. They played in Utah, and they beat Southern Utah 38-37. And he plays free safety,
mm-hmm.
and in that game he had 18 tackles. Whew. And he's not a big guy, man. He's not a big guy. He weighs about 100. I'll say 175, 80 pounds. And that may be stretching.
Yeah.
But he played phenomenal at free safety, making 18 tackles in the game. Any linebacker would be proud of those stats.
Any linebacker, 18 tackles.
But he went out and for Charlton, he went out and got it done, and they're sitting pretty at 4-1, and they have Utah. They have a home game this coming weekend. They'll play Utah Tech. Man, this is his senior season.
Yeah.
He's a La Vega product.
Yeah.
So he played. You know, he was a tremendous player over at La Vega. He's just another kid, another instance of a kid from our community here.
Yep.
Doing really well when they get a chance to play on that next level. He originally went to University of Texas Permian Basin,
mm-hmm.
and then he transferred up to Charlton. So he's having a great senior season, and I look forward to seeing him again in action next week.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely shout out to him, man. And got a chance to see him play whenever they played Baylor, when they played Baylor to start the season off. So definitely shout out to him. Like Rocky said, a lot of young kids from this community making huge impacts on teams every single weekend in college football and at the pro level too. When we see guys like Andrew Billings still doing his thing in the league and different guys from this community. So it's great to see. And shout out to him. 18 tackles, like you said. Any linebacker would be proud of those stats. They're coming in from the free safety spot and getting that. He was getting some work in definitely in that game. So shout out to him, and we'll look forward to watching him as this season goes forward. And like you said, Tarleton 4-1 on the season so far, so they're doing great things out there as well. And that was a perfect segue into some college football that we have to talk about. A crazy weekend in college football this past weekend. Nobody's parlays were safe, including my own. I started off strong, Rocky. I started off strong, man. It started off looking good in the first few games of the weekend. I was like, oh man, this might turn out looking like something by the time I get to the end of this. The first one I had was I picked SMU +7 because I knew SMU was going to go down there and thump on Louisville because the way SMU has been playing. And they're starting that quarterback from Sock that didn't get a lot of offers even when Sock was going back-to-back in state. Ended up going to SMU, and he's making a huge impact there at SMU. So shout out to him. Started out good there. I picked Georgia money line against Auburn. I had Penn State money line against UCLA. Had Ohio State -17.5. I knew they were going to go out there and thrash Iowa. Nebraska had me sweating a little bit, but I had them -6.5. They covered that one as well, all the way till we got to my last two. Now, you know how you get greedy and just, this is one I was just making for fun, just putting it out there and wanted to see how I was going to do with this. I didn't put too much into this game, but after it starts looking good, you start getting hopeful. Last two picks of the parlay, Alabama money line versus Vanderbilt, because I almost took Vanderbilt on the points. I was scared coming into this game. I was like, man, they're coming off a good game against Georgia. Vanderbilt's been playing decent ball. Man, maybe I should just take these points on Vanderbilt. I backed out at the last second and said, nah, man, let me just take Alabama money line. I ain't going to take the spread. I'll just take a money line because I'm sure they'll close the game out. Well, we all know how that ended up turning out. That completely backfired on me as Alabama dropped the game against Vanderbilt, losing to them for the first time in almost 40 years, I think it was. So somehow when I decided to pick Alabama, they decided to make an example out of me. So y'all ain't got to worry about me no more. Like I said yesterday on the show, why y'all have to do this when Jalen Milroe's the quarterback? I like Jalen Milroe. I never like Alabama quarterbacks. Why y'all have to do this when he's the quarterback of Alabama? Y'all ain't lost to Vanderbilt in 30-something years. Y'all decided to come out here and lose to him when y'all actually got a quarterback I like out there instead of when y'all had whoever these random Greg McElroy as the quarterback and y'all were beating up on Vanderbilt. But now we get Jalen Milroe in here and y'all decide, let's give up 40 points to Vanderbilt in this game. So Rocky, I let me and PJ talked about this yesterday, so I'll get your opinion on this, man. What did you think about this blunder against Vanderbilt for Alabama?
Well, I never underestimate the fact that these kids are 18 years old, 18 to 21.
Yeah.
Well, let's go 17.
Yeah.
Ryan Williams is
for sure 17,
and that they don't handle the ebbs and flows of success very well. When they have a lot of success, they tend to want to rest on their laurels or take it easy or just be complacent. And I think one of the things that Nick Saban, when he coached Alabama, was really almost ingenious about is that he was always very hard on his teams in victory.
Yeah,
kind of keeping them focused.
Mm-hmm.
They came into the Vanderbilt game, and Alabama looked like they had come to a coronation, and Vanderbilt came to a fight.
Yeah.
And that's the way it looked the entire game to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like Vanderbilt came for a fight, and Alabama just wanted a coronation. And even though Alabama's supremely talented, the game just kind of, from an effort and execution standpoint, the game just got away from Alabama, and they were never able to catch up. And if you watch the game,
mm-hmm.
it almost seemed at times that Vanderbilt was playing at a different speed.
Yeah.
And Alabama just couldn't catch up. I didn't think Alabama settled into the game probably to the last half of the fourth quarter, and then you saw Alabama, but by that time, it was too late.
Yeah, too little, too late at that point.
Similar to, and this is another game that I don't know if you guys talked about, almost how the California-Miami game looked.
Yeah, very similar.
where they were wearing Alabama. I mean, they were wearing Miami out.
Yeah.
For a lot of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And their quarterback kind of just willed them to Cam Ward just willed Miami to victory the last quarter of the game.
For sure.
Now, the difference in these two games is I think Vanderbilt had the ability to run the ball the entire game, and California didn't. So they weren't going to be as effective in closing out the game as Vanderbilt was.
Yeah, and that was the key point to them. They rushed for 166 yards in that game against Alabama, which we're, of course, not accustomed to seeing Alabama giving up rushing yards, especially not to a team like Vanderbilt. But we gave praise to Kalen DeBoer throughout these first part of the weeks. Now he's got to get a little bit of criticism, not just because you lose to Vanderbilt, which nobody wants to be the guy that loses to them. If you beat them for 30-something years, no one wants to be the guy that finally loses to Vanderbilt in the situation. But one, we saw some very undisciplined moments for Alabama, especially towards the end of that game when they figured out they were going to lose. And then the offense. Now it was cool, when they bailed them out against Georgia and all that kind of stuff. But at certain points in this game, it looks like they're just trying to find out, can Ryan Williams bail them out in certain situations? Like, he is an absolute stud and he's an outstanding player, but at no point should your entire offense be reliant on a 17-year-old kid playing at any level. So to see them constantly looking for the bailout play with Ryan Williams was confusing to me. Do I think that this is going to be how Alabama looks the rest of the season? No. Alabama is going to get it together, and they're probably going to smack South Carolina this weekend, honestly, because of how they played this past weekend against Vanderbilt. But some of the undisciplined moments that we've seen in the game, and me and PJ, we talked about that yesterday on here, and some of those other things, that has to get corrected because if, like you touched on, Rocky, if one thing Alabama was going to be, they were going to be disciplined. They weren't going to be anything else. And Nick Saban made sure of that, so they've got to get back to some of those ways. Like we said, folks, this weekend was full of upsets. Miami ended up pulling that game out. That was looking like going to be the last upset of the night. And like we said yesterday, PJ, I hate that these kids having to travel 2,000 miles and go across the country to play a conference game. I think that's one of the dumbest things that's happened with this conference.
It's professional football, guys.
Yeah, at this point with this conference realignment, except they got class on Monday. That's the difference that makes it messed up. So you got to fly across town 2,000 across the country, 2,000 miles to play a game. So that was almost a setup. But Miami was able to pull that one out because of the greatness of Cam Ward, and his draft stock and Heisman stock just rose even higher after a game like that. Tennessee fell to Arkansas. Tennessee was one of those teams that, we were trying to figure out, are they for real or are they pretenders in this SEC? They lose to Arkansas, and Arkansas is 4-2, so it's not like they lost to a slouch. But they dropped the game to Arkansas, moving them down, kind of shaking up the SEC a little bit, shaking up the polls. And then Missouri losing to Texas A&M, which really shook up the SEC because A&M is now 5-1. This is a team that after the first game of the season, I didn't think was going to do anything because of the way that they looked against Notre Dame and the way that they were even winning the next couple of games. But coming out against Missouri, they dominated. I watched at least the first half of this game, and they were dominant from start to finish in this game. Connor Wigman came back and played great. I was somebody that thought Connor Wigman shouldn't have kept playing. I liked the way that the young quarterback looked up until last game. That he kind of gave them another spark. But Connor Wigman in this game, he didn't play spectacular, but he didn't turn the ball over. 266 yards, 18 for 22, and they just stayed in control of that game. I'm really surprised by the A&M defense. They did a great job in controlling that Missouri offense that's very, very explosive. In that has a very explosive offense with Luther Burden and Theo Weiss out there at receiver. So their defense did a great job in that one. A&M was able to run the ball. Le'Veon Moss, who is a really good back, he was able to really control this game. 12 carries, 138 yards. So A&M shook up the polls, shook up the SEC standings with that win against Missouri. SEC just still looking dominant at this point with how many teams they have ranked. And coming into this, Texas moves back to number 1 now because of the Alabama laws. Alabama short-lived time at number 1 just 1 week before Texas was able to take that back. So, PJ, I'll go to you first, man. What do you think about just closing out this last weekend in college football, all the upsets and all the different shakeups that we saw up and down the board, especially in SEC?
I feel like this week just showed there's more parity in college football than what we thought it was.
Yeah.
Definitely with Texas A&M dominating against Missouri the way they did. I don't think we just ruled out Texas A&M, but I didn't think that anyone expected for that to happen. You know, I mean, the way they played, man, it was, like I said, I was surprised myself, really just seeing Connor Wigman come back and the way he was throwing the ball out there, the accuracy, I mean, even the deep ball, the defense played crazy, you know. And even if they did beat Missouri, I didn't think it would be a blowout.
Yeah.
You know, this Missouri team, we're talking about a really good team, you know, definitely coming into this season. They had a lot of stock from last year and how they played last year. So I really just feel like this week, man, it just showed how much parity is really in college football this year. I like it. Definitely teams like Texas A&M being pretty good because that's good for Texas, for that build-up of that Texas game that's going to be the last game of the season. You know, I think that's going to be in College Station, actually. So
yeah, it is.
Just seeing all the teams and the upset. Vanderbilt, I didn't pick Vanderbilt. I don't think anyone really just picked Vanderbilt to beat Alabama, but I felt that they were going to go into the game and give them a good game.
Yeah.
But even while I was watching it, and they were doing good. I think they ended up getting up like 13-0. I think they missed a field goal. And even then, I was still like, man, Alabama they're gonna start clicking, and the game is gonna get away from Vanderbilt, and it never really did. It never did. Alabama never led in that game. So, you know, I love when college football is like this because it makes every week fun. Definitely coming into this past weekend, everybody was saying that this week was going to be a down week because there was so many teams that are on bye weeks and a lot of the games weren't interesting to people. And you go into that week, a week that's supposed to be a down week, and you come out with like 5 teams in the top 25, if I'm not mistaken. I think like five teams got upset.
Yeah,
Louisville, Tennessee, Missouri, Alabama, and who was that? Or actually, I think it was more. Michigan, USC. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. So I love it when it's like this. I'm very happy for Texas being back at number 1, but to be honest, I don't really care about us being number 1. I really just want us to take each week, you know, one at a time and just continue to grow from there. I'm really excited this week. I'm gonna be like in the area this week for the Texas OU Red River Shootout. So I'm going to be around that area rooting for my Longhorns against OU. I think that's going to be a really good game this week, along with a lot of other games that's going to be going on this week too.
Yeah, that's definitely the game of the weekend coming in to this one. And like you said, just so many different upsets throughout the week. It was really crazy to see. And to your point, it was a weekend that everybody was kind of deeming as a sleeper coming into this and not going to be a super exciting weekend. It ended up being one of the crazier weekends we've had in college football. So that's just the fun of college football, and what makes people so attracted to college football is the upset alerts and the fact that anything can happen when you line these teams up against each other, like a team breaking a 30-plus year drought and losing to a team in Vanderbilt coming out with Alabama. So Alabama, like I said, I think they're going to bounce back against that one. But before we start talking about college football, I got to bring up the home team and the Baylor Bears, man. Not many great things to say about the program right now, just based on where they're at and expectation coming into this year, with their only wins being against Tarleton State and Air Force so far this year. You have a game that was slightly competitive against Iowa State before it just gets completely out of hand. You dropped the game to BYU with multiple chances to be able to win that game. The week prior to that, you lose to a Hail Mary the week before then against Colorado. What is the future of Baylor football? Obviously, there's coaching questions. They have a great recruiting class coming in, one of the best they've had in some years. Will this recruiting class even stay? It's if and once they fire Dave Aranda from the Baylor Bears. And Rocky, I'll ask you first, man. Just what is the future of this Baylor Bears team right now? They're 2-4.
Well, they're trending in the wrong direction right now.
For sure.
Right? You know, they're halfway through their season. They have a bye week this week. It's time for them to regroup.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at their schedule. They have Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, TCU, West Virginia, Houston, and Kansas. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. They can win all of those games that they have on their schedule.
Yep.
They can win all of those games. And if they do, right, even if they don't play for the Big 12 title, they'll be in contention, you know, to say the least. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to be a wild season in the Big 12, and so I don't necessarily know who is the dominant team. But you know, they don't have to play UCF. You know, they don't play. You know, I'm looking at the schedule. They don't have to play the Arizona schools.
Either one.
You know, they got a pretty good draw.
Yeah, they did.
If you ask me,
they did.
And not that the Arizona schools are tough. It's just that, you know, that there will be significant travel involved in those games, and they're a non-traditional kind of matchup.
Yeah.
The game that's going to get kind of hairy is the only game that's probably going to be tough for them to win. It's traveling to Morgantown, West Virginia.
Always tough.
It's going to be tough based on the history. You know, that game is on November the 16th. So it's going to be cold.
It's freezing.
Yeah. So we don't know how they may turn out in that. But if they can finish strong, right? Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, TCU, West Virginia, Houston, and Kansas. Here's the reality, though. They also could lose all those games.
all.
You know, so there'll be no game where they're just the preeminent favorite. No, there's none of those games will they have the talent an extreme talent advantage. And to be honest with you, I hope they go back to the quarterback who started the season, because I think that can give them some sense of hope.
Yeah,
I don't think Sawyer Robertson gives them anything.
No,
that will give them a spark, so to speak. He's pretty good dual threat quarterback, pretty good. But his decision making is not very good. And even though he may be a better passer than the other kid, I don't think he provides you the dynamic athleticism that
DeQuan Finn.
Yeah. The other quarterback gives you. And right now, your offense needs a spark because they're extremely, extremely stagnant. And they and on third down, they need to get in front of the chains. They need to be able to be in third and manageable, because when they get in third and long, it's tough. And when they get in must throwing situations, they're tough. I would even consider, you know, because of the situation, I would even consider trying to figure out a 2-quarterback system where you can use the talents and abilities of both quarterbacks, and be effective. Yeah, because I think there's something there with
Sawyer Robertson.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think he gives you enough. Mm-hmm. I think Fanning is dynamic, but then how do you get Cameron the ball? How do you know what I mean? Those are the things you struggle with when he's your quarterback. And do you have the complement? You know, the other deal is, do you have a running back to complement your quarterback And if your running back becomes your primary running threat, how long can he stay healthy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So those are all things. But they definitely need to regroup and establish, if nothing else, they need to establish an identity of who and what Baylor football is moving forward.
Yeah.
Are they a tough defensive team that's going to grind out wins? Are they a high-flying offensive team that's going to give up some points but also score a lot?
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. They've played half their season, and I have no idea what they are.
And I think that's the problem, because I don't think they know who exactly they are either. Like you said, they have to establish some type of identity. These games coming up, Tech, Oklahoma State, TCU, very winnable games, but also very losable games, unfortunately, for this Baylor team. PJ, any words before we move off of them about Baylor and their season thus far?
Yeah, I'm just scared that they're going to lose this really good class that's about to come in. And I heard the kicker that they got in this class as well that's coming in, and he said that everybody's pretty much locked in on going to Baylor, but at the same time, it's just like, I know they didn't have high expectations coming into the season, but they've lost games that they really could have won.
Yeah.
And so even with the games that are coming up that they could possibly win, it's like they got a strong chance to win those games, but they got an even stronger chance in losing those games just because they don't know how to get out of their own way. They don't know how to necessarily finish the game, or they don't know how to even start the game, to be able to get up and eventually maybe win the game. It's just they got a lot of things that they need to come together on. I really just don't think Dave Aranda is that guy. I think his time is probably going to be over after this season. And that's the biggest thing, like you said earlier, are those guys going to stay once, he's gone? If he do end up, getting fired or whatever, like, are they going to stay committed to Baylor, or are they going to just decommit and go somewhere else? And we've seen certain situations like this with Baylor, similar to whenever the allegations came out around like 2016, where they lost that really good class of 16 class that was coming in. And I kind of remember that because I was in high school around that time. It was like my senior year. And there was some guys, man, that
was the best class they ever had.
It was some really, really good guys that were supposed to be a part of that class, and they all best class they ever had. Like, it was some guys. I can't remember the guy's name, but the running back from Port Arthur Memorial.
Yeah, I can't think of his name either, but
I think his name started with a K. I forgot his name.
Parrish, all those guys was out there.
He was a dog.
Yeah,
he was a dog. Parrish. Man, they had a lot of guys to go into that.
Devin Duvernay.
So I think me as a Baylor fan, that's what I fear happening again. Because Devin Duvernay was even in that class. He ended up going to Texas. So like, I think as a fan, I'm fearful of that because I already seen it happen before. Even though it was for a whole nother reason, still that could possibly happen again if these guys don't know how to. If they don't figure out how to win just a few more games. Like you don't really have to. Like, we're not asking them to make it to the Big 12 championship game or anything, even though the Big 12 is wide open, even with Iowa State being undefeated, we really just don't know how serious they are yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they got a chance to at least kind of make themselves, if not a contender, a team that when you play them, you're like, okay, we really got to bring our A game. You know what I mean? So they got to figure something out, definitely with the offense. The offense got to figure something out. Sawyer Robinson is just not that guy. I agree. I feel like with DeQuan Finn in the game, you got a way better chance to beat any of those teams with him in the game. So I really just don't know, man. They gotta do something, because I really just don't want this class right here to start decommitting just because of what they're showing on the field this season.
No, for sure. And like you said, man, they got to figure something out. Like to Rocky's point earlier, they got to try to find an identity in this so they can try to have some success leading out of this. You have to try to at least make a bowl game. After having the type of season you just had, you've got to try to get a bowl game out of this. The season you just had the year prior to that, you got to try to get a bowl game out of this team. There's talent on this team, and you definitely don't want to lose out on the recruiting class that you've had. That you had coming into this, or that you have coming in next year. So a lot of questions around Baylor. To Rocky's point, they have winnable games coming up. They've got Tech, they've got TCU, they've got Houston. But the problem is you're 0-3 in conference play. That's one of the hardest parts about all of this is you're 0-3 in conference play, and it's going to be tough to try to bounce back from that. But looking forward to see what Baylor can do. They've got a bye week coming up, and then after that they've got the Red Raiders. They got to go up to Lubbock and play the Red Raiders. So that's going to be a tough game for them as well just because of the environment they're going to be playing in. So, folks, like I said, crazy weekend in college football, and we'll talk more about college football as we get further throughout the week because there's some good games coming up this weekend like the Red River rivalry, like Alabama and South Carolina, like Penn State and USC. So, good games coming up for this weekend. Tune in later in the week. We'll talk some more about some college football. Want to go back to the NFL while we have these last about 25 minutes here on the show. We wrap up week 5 in the league. Multiple teams have question marks around them and around their teams. One team that has a significant question mark around it because it did not go the way that I thought, at least coming into the season, and that multiple teams thought coming into the season, and that's the Cleveland Browns. This team's got talent, obviously. They've got, in my opinion, one of the, if not the best defensive player in the league in Myles Garrett. They've got a great secondary led by Denzel Ward. They've got one of the premier running backs, even though he's been injured this season. I think he's probably coming back this week against Philly, in Nick Chubb. They made additions at the receiver spot with guys like Jerry Jeudy to go along with Amari Cooper, who was already there, who's still showing he can be productive in this league. Added guys like Elijah Moore, who we know can be productive in this league. And they're looking at 1-4 right now, and with no hope of doing anything. You lose to the Giants, you lose to the Raiders. When you drop games like that, I mean, you have no hope of doing anything, and it's really all kind of pointing at one person, Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson right now is probably the worst quarterback in the NFL. He doesn't push the needle as far as trying to stretch the field vertically. His athleticism hasn't even looked the same. We just saw after the game on Sunday, because Kevin Stefanski is stumped on what to do with his offense. He had some design quarterback runs, and Deshaun Watson said, I'm not trying to run the ball. I'm a quarterback. I don't want to run the ball. So obviously there's a lot of leadership things lacking. Of course, admin the cases that he has against him, and now even more cases against him, dealing with a lot. But right now he's playing like the worst quarterback in the NFL. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, PJ, but I want to get Rocky's opinion on this. When do you go to Jameis Winston? When do you put Jameis Winston into the game? Do the Browns tank the rest of their season? Do you draft a quarterback? Do you cut Deshaun Watson? There's so many options of things to do. Obviously, if they cut him, it's going to be a high penalty against the cap. I think if they cut him right now, they'll have to do at least 2 years of $30+ million against their cap in the next 2 seasons coming up if they cut him. But if you keep him on the team, I mean, what's going to get worse or better? So I don't know the exact solution, but I want to get your opinion on this, Rocky.
Well, so I think this is a really complicated situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're dealing with a quarterback who's struggling, right? He's clearly struggling, but you guys they're struggling as a team, though.
Yeah.
Because it's not like they're they have Jerry Jeudy and Amari Cooper, right? Amari Cooper is an Asian wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy is yet to really prove himself and establish himself as a wide receiver in the league. So I'll leave that right there. I think David Njoku is out.
Yeah, he is.
I think he's injured.
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves there something to desire at tight end. And then Nick Chubb is hurt, and we all know that the quarterback's best friend is a running game, for which they don't run the ball very well at all since Nick Chubb went down last year. Everybody's looking at Deshaun Watson as you're the problem. But I also saw the game last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Jaden Daniels carve that vaunted Cleveland defense up and literally put the offense under so much stress because he was literally scoring just about every time he got the ball. And so in comparison, it looked like the offense was completely out of sync, not just Deshaun Watson, because they couldn't establish the run. They couldn't establish, even when they tried to go to the rhythm passing game, there was so much pressure on Deshaun Watson by what I think is a pretty pedestrian front of Washington. So my question is, if Washington can put pressure on you, and I think they got sacked 7 times, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Then what will a formidable, defensive line? Maybe the guys up front just can't protect, and maybe that's leading to the poor performance by Deshaun Watson, because we've seen that happen before.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I think the jury's still out on Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah.
In my opinion, as a coach. And now everybody want to point to the run they had with
Joe Flacco.
Did you see the playoff game, though?
I saw it.
You know what I mean? He didn't give him a chance in the playoff game.
Not at all.
So, again, and then so here's the other deal. If you go to Jameis Winston, it's a lose-lose for the Browns. Let me say this.
It is, 100%.
If Jameis Winston turns into being the reincarnation of Dan Marino, then you got a $40 million quarterback that's underperforming, that you can't play. You can't, even if Jameis Winston is on a 1-year deal, so even if he plays lights out, you can't really re-sign him because another team is going to grab him for more money.
Yep.
So in the lose-lose, you're stuck in this situation. You got to love the one you with. This decision was made for Kevin Stefanski. You got to love the one you with, and until the best case scenario for the Browns at this point, it is somehow you get Nick Chubb back, you're able to establish the running game, and the second half of the season, Deshaun Watson becomes a viable quarterback, and then you have something to build on for next year. Because I think this year, I don't think they should expect much this year. And I'm saying not because of Deshaun Watson specifically, but because they can't protect Deshaun Watson.
That is true. That is true, and I agree to a point with that, because the offensive line has played bad, but I have been watching Deshaun Watson as well, not only last Sunday but throughout the season. He misses wide open passes. He holds the ball too long. He can't throw the ball past 15 yards is what it looks like. He refuses to throw the ball past 15 yards. It's also what it looks like. And this can't be because of interceptions, because he's thrown picks. He'll throw a pick with a dude 2 yards away from him as well. He's played one good game in a Cleveland Browns uniform. That's when they played Baltimore last year, the game that he ended up getting hurt. That's the only good game he's played as a Cleveland Brown, whether they had Nick Chubb, whether they had a good offensive line like they did last year, whether they had receivers, whether they had a tight end, whether they had a defense who, outside of that Commanders game and the Cowboys game, has played good all season. They gave up 18 points,
and
20
he is
points.
a guy coming off surgery.
He is coming off surgery as well. But when you see that the team has lost confidence in him, and before the team lost confidence in him, I think he's lost confidence in himself. Because before he came off the surgery, he looked horrible last year besides that Baltimore game. He refuses to stretch the field vertically as far as throwing the ball downfield. I'm not sure what it is. I think he's literally just lost all confidence in himself, because the times that the line did protect, he won't throw the right pass. The times when somebody is open, he'll throw an interception, or he'll throw the ball into the dirt, or he won't do anything. Like a few of those sacks were on Sunday. He did have a lot of pressure. Some of those, he's just holding the ball too long. Just get rid of the ball. I mean, it's a series of decision-making, And obviously he makes so much money, you will try to make up for it. But after so many games, he's played 10, 15 plus games as a Cleveland Brown and had one good one. After so many games, you have to kind of wash your hands with the situation. In my opinion, yes, it's going to hit against the cap, but when your team is giving up, I don't know if they necessarily want to block for Deshaun Watson. When your team is giving up on you, when the quarterback is giving up on himself, I think it's you got stuck in a horrible situation, but that's y'all's fault. Nobody told y'all to get this dude a fully guaranteed contract for $230 million. So I don't have any remorse for the Cleveland Browns because you stuck yourself in this situation. Nobody made you do that. Baker Mayfield is playing really good football in Tampa Bay. You could have stuck with Baker Mayfield, but instead you decided to take a chance and you go and get Deshaun Watson, and now it seems to have backfired on you. PJ, I'll let you get one more word in on this before we move on. What do you think? What is your opinion on the Deshaun Watson situation as far as how it's shaking out right now?
It's kind of like I said yesterday. It's just really unfortunate to see how far he can drop. Definitely since, the allegations and everything, since the situation that's really still ongoing, I think it's over for him. He just makes bad decisions. Really, I can't even say bad. He makes terrible decisions when he's on the field right now. I don't really know. Like I said, I don't know if he's really in his head about everything that's going on. That could be a possibility. Or he just done lost it, you know what I mean? To go through, and it's not to even really just feel bad for him or anything like that, but it's just being honest. When you go through what he's had to, go through as far as with everything that's been going on, I'm sure you would lose a step, you know what I mean? And I don't think he even thought how far he probably dropped. He probably still thought he was on the same level that we seen him when he was with the Texans. But he just doesn't really have it right now, man. I don't really know if he can get it back. And it's not that the Browns don't have talent, because they do. This is really the reason why they even been in the news as much, these last two years, just because they steady adding guys to help this team get better. It's never really been a time, or if it was, it's been a very long time since we've really just looked at the Browns like, man, they should be good. You know what I mean? This team should be good. This team should be every bit of a top.
That's where I disagree, PJ. Is give me a reason why they should be good.
They won 11 games last year.
Again, I'm gonna ask you again. Y'all been watching football, NFL, a long time. Part of a good record in the NFL is largely dictated by who you're matched up against and when you match up against, right?
For sure.
I want to say the games that Joe Flacco won, he beat two second-string quarterbacks and a third-string quarterback, right?
He did.
You know what I mean? So let's talk about who you beat. So if Deshaun Watson was playing second-string quarterbacks, I believe they could have beat Washington. They could have beat.
But that's the thing. He has been playing some second-string level. They lost to the Giants and the Raiders.
No, okay.
So the Giants and the Raiders are not good at football.
Well, I think the Giants are. Okay, I think the Giants are, and that's what their record would say. Their record would say they're good at football. The last two games,
they're 2-3.
Again, their last two games, they played the Cowboys to the wire, and Daniel Jones didn't get a game away. The next two games, they pulled off victories, guys.
They beat Cleveland and Seattle.
And Seattle's a good team, right? When we say that,
they're decent. Seattle is decent. I could give you that, and that they're a decent football team. But
is that somebody on the hotline?
Yeah. I'm about to answer real quick. Hold on, PJ. Yes, sir. We got you right here on the line. Centex Primetime.
Hello.
Uh-huh. Okay, so we had a missed call there, but Seattle is a decent team, and that was a good win for the Giants. I will give you that. Do I think the Giants are a good team because they beat Seattle?
No. What I'm saying is you're not talking about winless. You're not talking about two winless teams. And I'm not trying to say Cleveland is good. But what I'm saying is they've played a team with their full complement of players, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Cleveland is that good. I don't think Deshaun Watson is good, but I also don't think a team that gives 34 points up to a rookie quarterback is good.
He don't did that to most of the teams he's played, though. If we're talking about somebody being good and not good, Jaden Daniels has done that to the majority of the teams that he's played so far. So I'm not saying that Cleveland. I'm not going to sit here and defend Cleveland. I think they're better than 1-4. I think they're definitely better than 1-4. Their defense isn't bad. They gave up points to Commanders, and they gave up points to the Cowboys. But before that, they didn't give up points to anybody else. They didn't give up a bunch of points to Jacksonville. They didn't give a bunch of points to New York. They didn't give up a bunch of points to
who did
Vegas.
They beat? Who did they beat? Jacksonville.
They've only beat. The only team that they beat is Jacksonville.
Okay,
that's the only team. That's the only win that they do have. Which I didn't even think they was going to win that game because of how bad.
Well, like I say,
Watson been playing.
I think it's early in the season. I think we're just 5 games in.
It is early.
5 games in. If they go 4-1 the next 5 games,
they won't.
But I mean, they're back to 500, and then they can. So again, I don't think they're very good. I think when you at the end of the season, they won't have a lot of Pro Bowlers. They won't have
No.
Those are to me. When you talk about a team that's loaded, when you go back to that Cowboys team a couple years ago that lost in the playoffs in the first or second round, and you got 8 guys on your team that are Pro Bowlers.
Yeah,
that's when you're underachieving and things of that nature. Well, if Cleveland makes the playoffs this year, which I doubt that they will, I think that would be overachieving in the AFC.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they're in a division where they have 2 teams, in my opinion, possibly 3, that are clearly better than them. If you when this season started, the only thing that you could say is, I hope Pittsburgh is not as good as they usually are. But Pittsburgh is exactly what they always are, right?
Yeah,
a hard-nosed, tough team, and that's usually good enough to beat Cleveland.
Yeah,
Cincinnati is really in the same boat as Cleveland right now, right?
Yeah, for sure.
They got 2 wins. They're 2-8 in Ohio, right? If you had to take which team is trending in the right direction, it's a coin flip at this point. Even though one has Joe Burrow, one has Deshaun Watson, but literally it's a coin flip. It's a coin flip. Neither team has shown. When you look at other than Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and
Joe Burrow,
who do you have on that team?
You just named them.
And those guys are doing everything they have. The only difference I think with the Cleveland is they have Myles Garrett, but they don't have the weapons that Joe Burrow has.
Oh no, definitely not.
You don't know they don't have that quality of weapon.
But they coming into the season, you would say that I would pick them. They're more talented than Pittsburgh. I would say that. I wouldn't pick them to be better than Pittsburgh because Mike Tomlin is one of the better coaches. But they're for sure more talented than Pittsburgh. Outside of T.J. Watt, can you name a talented player on Pittsburgh? Minka Fitzpatrick? That's it. Outside of that, there is no talent on Pittsburgh.
I would say George Pickens is better than any receiver that Cleveland has.
No, he's definitely not better than Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper, the production speaks for itself. A great game for George Pickens is 6 catches, 80 yards. We're going to start saying he's a good receiver if he gets 6. That's going to be one of his better games of the season. If he gets 100, he's doing abnormal things. If Amari Cooper doesn't get 100 with a competent court, he had 100 almost every game with Joe Flacco last year. And he's had good games so far this year. So, and then when you put Nick Chubb and David Njoku into that mix, Denzel Ward.
Who are not there.
They're coming back. David Njoku came back this week. Nick Chubb's coming back this week. David Njoku came back last week. Nick Chubb's coming back this week. They still got Denzel Ward. He's one of the better corners in the league. They've got a lot more talent than a Pittsburgh team. I think they're underachieving with the talent that they have on this team. I mean, they're 1-4, so clearly they're underachieving. Do I think they were going to be world beaters coming into the season? No, not at all. But with the talent that they have on this team, injuries definitely played a part in this. But Deshaun Watson is the biggest factor,
They were going to be at the
unfortunately.
bottom of the division no matter what.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that they were going to be at the bottom of the division.
Who were they better than? That's what I'm saying.
Pittsburgh. They're better than Pittsburgh for sure.
You were hoping they were going to be better than
They were better than Pittsburgh last year.
They had a better record than Pittsburgh.
They were better than Pittsburgh last year.
And Pittsburgh had serious
They did.
quarterback issues.
And they've got not so serious quarterback issues this year.
No, they're better at quarterback.
They are, but I'm saying it ain't great at quarterback. They're better at quarterback because they had the worst in the league. They had Mason Rudolph and whoever else was out there.
No, they had didn't they have Charlie Hustle or whatever?
Whatever the dudes was out there with them. But they weren't great at all at quarterback last year.
The guy that's known for the fake slide.
Yeah.
I forget what his name.
I'm trying to remember his name too. But yeah, they had him in their quarterback
he
last year.
He plays for the Eagles now, but
Kenny Pickett. Yeah,
Kenny Pickett.
They had Justin Fields is an upgrade from Kenny Pickett for sure.
And so what so they were I want to say the Pittsburgh Steelers were 89 last year.
The usual
With Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
So I think Justin Fields and Russell Wilson give them at least 2 wins.
At least,
yeah.
for sure.
So I'm thinking, and if that's the case, then one of those wins have to be taken away from Cleveland. You know what I mean? So now Cleveland's back to 9 or 10-6. So what I'm saying is, Cleveland, if you were hoping they were going to be better than Baltimore, you're out of your mind. If you were hoping they were going to be better than the Bengals, you were being hopeful. They may be better than the Bengals.
I was about to say, I think they are better than the Bengals.
So,
they better than the Bengals.
You know, the crazy thing, I heard a lot of people say before the season that the North was probably the best division in football, unfortunately.
I was one of those people, and here they are as they're not the worst, but as not the best division in football for sure. And I was one of those people coming into the season because I thought they were 4 playoff caliber teams in the AFC North. That has proven to not be true whatsoever. They're probably only going to get one team in the playoffs, honestly, because I don't think Pittsburgh is going to make the playoffs.
I think it's easy in football to determine who the best teams are, and I'm not a guy that always goes along with this, but I think here in recent history, you have to go the team with the division with the best group of quarterbacks, right? And I don't think this is inarguably the NFC North.
Yeah.
You know, they have the best collection of quarterbacks. When you look at Sam Darnold, Caleb Williams,
Jared Goff and Jordan Love.
Yeah. They have the best collection of quarterbacks. Now, I think the guys out west kind of rival that with Geno, Purdy, Kyler, but
Matt Stafford
and Stafford. But I'm talking about, you know, recent history would say those, especially this season, you would say those guys have outplayed and that's what I always got to the problem when you talk about evaluating how good the NFC East is, right? Any division that has Daniel Jones,
any division
as a starting quarterback, you know, and you want him, and the other, and Daniel Jones as a starting quarterback, and then a rookie as the other starting quarterback. You can't be one of the, you know, that's going to be it. Now that rookies turn out to be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's why I hoped that they would draft Drake May, but unfortunately they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't take the bait there. And we on pretty much running out of time here. But before I do, since you're talking about the NFC East, real quickly, do the Commanders have a chance to win the NFC East, or is that fool's gold?
I mean, no. I think with the condition of the Dallas Cowboys, along with Philly, I think I think they're the odds-on favorite right now.
Yeah,
you know,
they are the favorite right now.
I think they're the favorite right now. They have the best schedule, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so, but again,
do you see a drop off? Do you see a drop off for the success Jaden Daniels has been having and this team? Because it's not really about Jaden Daniels for me. It's the team. I don't think they're that talented as a team. I do think Jaden Daniels is very talented.
Again, for me, I don't think their schedule puts them in a situation where they have to be challenged. You know.
Yeah, not too tough of a schedule remaining.
Like I see them with, you know, if they keep playing like they're playing, there's probably another 8 winnable games on their roster. So they finished with 12 wins, and then, you know, I don't see either the Eagles or the Cowboys finishing with 12 wins based on their schedule. Certainly not the Cowboys. You know, we got a pretty difficult run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially next 4 or 5 weeks.
Really, about 6.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, coming up.
We were lucky to get Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And then we have to do that. You know, we're going to play shorthanded. But with injuries and just the attrition of the NFL season, who knows, man? You know, as long as you teeter around 500 all the way up to Thanksgiving, I think you still have a chance as a team.
Yeah, and like you said, this division probably is going to be won by a closer to 500 team. The Commanders can get to 12 wins in the season, but the only games that I'm just going to pick them as a definitive favorite is probably against New York and Carolina Panthers and Chicago. Oh, they got Tennessee. Man, they do got an easy schedule. They got Tennessee too. It's crazy.
yeah.
But
I glanced at their schedule before the show, and I saw 4 wins without even blinking. And then you got to understand, Jaden Daniels is good enough that he's probably going to split with the Cowboys.
Split with Philly.
You know, that gives you you know, that gives you 6, you know. And you got the Giants again. They have the Giants again. That could give you a 7th win.
Yep.
Like I say, it's not out the realm of possibility that they get 12 wins. And even if they get 11, can Dallas or Philly get to 11? That's
tough
with the conference advantage.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. So they definitely do have the advantage looking at all of their schedules.
You know,
now
I looked at the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
They could probably literally go into coming out of Thanksgiving with a 3-game lead on us and Philly easily.
Yeah, they got Carolina, Chicago. They got Baltimore next week. They'll probably lose that, but they got Carolina, Chicago, New York. That's 3 games in a row. That's most likely when Steelers is questionable, and then they get into division play with Philly and Dallas.
Yeah.
So, yeah. They definitely have some wins they can pick up in there. So, I've been asking everybody that question because I don't know where to put this division because I don't know where to put the Cowboys and the Eagles in this. I picked, obviously, either one of those two to win the division before the season started, but with a 4-1 record now coming in to what we see the Commanders being and these next few weeks that they have coming up, it's going to be tough.
Now, this is the last thing I'll say. I think the Eagles and the Cowboys have a better chance of improving as a team than Washington does. I think Washington is not playing far from they're
at their peak, most likely, around their peak.
Far from their capacity at this point. And they're going to – and this is the NFL, so every team's going to have a slump. When are they going to have their slump? So we'll see.
Yeah, when is Washington going to have their slump right now? 4-1 sitting at the top of the division. Folks, want to thank everybody for tuning in to the show with us today. Make sure you guys go to YouTube and subscribe, CentexSportsNetwork.com or Centex Sports Network and Centex Sports TV. Also, download the app Centex Sports One on the Google Play and Apple Store. Folks, we'll be back tomorrow 5 to 7. Make sure you tune in at 8 o'clock for HBCU Coaches Corner with Rocky Miller. That comes on at 8 right here on Affinity Sports Radio Central Texas and on YouTube as well. So make sure you tune in for that. We will see you guys tomorrow. Everyone have a great evening.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis